Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Tim Weinheimer. Tim, we're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff with Tim. Tim is the Chief Innovations Officer and Managing Partner at Hahn. For those that are not familiar with Hahn, Hahn is a full-service agency. They offer everything from the traditional kind of PR services all the way through brand marketing, digital, social media. We're going to talk a lot about data and data analytics today and measurement, because that's a big area of what they do, and certainly something that Tim's playing a leadership role in. But before we get there, Tim, tell us a little bit about you and your career.
Absolutely. Well, again, terrific to be here with you today. I have had, I would say, the most charmed career in advertising. My background has always been the person that raised their hand when they were trying to figure out a new digital challenge, a social media challenge, a data challenge. And so through my career, I've been leading teams with some of the nation's top agencies, working with Ketchum, the Richards Group, Ogilvy over the years. And Ben, when I look at all of that, it's really having that opportunity to learn from some of the best subject matter experts in the country. So I feel like I've been at that lucky spot to really capture all of that and bring that to the work that we're doing today. Started in account service, but then really made my way all through being a digital transformation specialist, helping clients figure out what's the next application, what's the next iteration of technology for their brand or their business, and just sort of solving it through for them.
Well, there's been no shortage of new throughout your career, Tim. I mean, I think that's the one constant that we have seen for anyone who's had a career in marketing and communications over the last 20, 30 years, right? It's been quite an amazing ride. But I know that you oversee Hahn's data intelligence and predictive marketing services. Tell me a little bit. Perhaps just provide a little bit of background on Hahn, and then let's go into what they're doing in the data space.
Absolutely, yeah. So the agency's actually been around a long time. Talk about evolution. We started in 1974 in earnest. But the most exciting thing is in January, we launched Hahn Labs. And Labs is a new measurement division, a new division of our company. And we are purely focused on lift measurement. So when I say lift measurement, it is the, unanswered question of the past 2 decades of whether or not public relations and advertising effort, whatever the communications vehicle might be, giving clients a new level of confidence and figuring out what the return actually was connected to sales. So a lot of focus on that. And how we're doing that is we acquired a firm in Houston, a data intelligence firm, back in 2021. So during the pandemic, we leaned in hard on data. A lot of people, went different directions, but we went really hard on data. And with that acquisition, we have a chief data officer, a data scientist, data analyst, natural language programming experts. So a whole fleet of brain power that I'm learning something new every day that really helps us solve some of these unanswered questions. And the biggest part of it is for this year is focusing on 2 products. One is what we call the Hahn Earned Lift Model. Exactly what it says. If you've done earned communications, we'll actually correlate that to your sales data. So if you are a QSR, fast food, a national retail chain, we can tell you down to the DMA level how well your PR efforts actually worked in driving sales. So lots of cool stuff happening there. The other area that we're exploring is in the area of influencer marketing, is going into help brands decide which collab is best. So think of it this way. If you were considering Dolly, let's say you're the chief marketing officer for the Dallas Cowboys, and you're wondering, should I do something with Dolly Parton, Miranda Lambert, or Willie Nelson? Our model will tell you which one of those is a better bet. for the Dallas Cowboys brand.
Wow. I mean, I love the two areas that you're focusing on. I felt for so many years in the public relations space that the clippings and the mentions and it was very, very quantitative in the context of output, but not really quantitative in the element of delivery. So attribution modeling has been kind of the holy grail for folks across marketing for many, many years. And it's exciting to get a sense that you guys are moving in that space. I mean, just to kind of dig in a little bit more on that, what are some of the elements? I don't want you to give your secret recipe, but what are some of the elements that you guys are really looking at in that algorithm?
Yeah, good question. So we have an exceptional partnership with Meltwater. They're the world's largest multimedia listening platform and really data platform to us. And through that partnership and our subscriptions with them, you bring up a really good point. Old ways of measuring PR effectiveness and performance are dead. So when
Mhm.
you look at the advertising value equivalency model, AVE, that's been around since the 1940s, is by and large just fuzzy math. So now with the model, and I won't even dare to go into my data science mode. That's a different call with a different team. But taking the mentions and making those mentions, peeling back the layers on that, and looking at those mentions down to store level, DMA level, and running our model to determine, was there cause and effect? Again, earned media only, stripping
Mhm.
out paid. We're not looking at paid media. Earned media only. Can we dial in and say with great confidence what the sales impact was for just the PR efforts? So it's really, I'm blown away every day. Some of the work that we're doing is for two different large national retail brands that we just started in the past year and a half. I wish I could tell you more about each of those. We have some wonderful case studies coming up.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, and the focus again of the agency is very deliberately dialed into two categories. And we'll refer to our strategy as just heat and eat. So anything food and beverage, nutrition, and energy and essentials.
Okay.
So really, it gives us great focus. It gives us the ability to really dial in and dedicate this lift measurement in these new models to those two categories.
Yeah, and I think the area that you also mentioned, which is the collaborative model, is quite interesting. It's one of those elements that has frustrated CMOs for years and CCOs, really this idea that, well, we know that there's value in a celebrity getting involved, but what does it look like? So it's one of those ones where, on one level we read about George Clooney launching I don't know what it was, a tequila brand or something like that, and becoming a billionaire overnight. And you're like, wow, celebrity is important, right? Celebrity is important to really understanding, what a certain individual has in connection and how that brand can leverage it. It's been fascinating. I do feel, and I'd be curious if you feel this too, there was a moment where a lot of top celebrities kind of steered clear from kind of involving themselves in stuff. And then I feel like over the last year and a half, 2 years, especially if I look at the Super Bowl, you have A-list celebrities leaning into brands now, really like Affleck and his wife, Jennifer Lopez, and Dunkin' Donuts, and Michael Cera and the CeraVe thing. I mean, is this a trend that we're going to still continue to see going forward?
Yeah, a great question. I would say yes. And my hunch is there that that comfort level is that there is, again, let's go back to the data. There's a lot more knowledge on what the outcomes and outputs can be,
Hmm.
both for the brand and for the celebrity or the influencer. So it's become a little bit more of a sure thing to know what will work, what won't. There's all the different models or algorithms that do a terrific job of matching audiences. So if this is retail brand over here and this is your social audience, there's tools that'll tell you, well, this influencer is a good algorithmic match with your audience. So they're really able to connect those two. And I think that's what's really impressive. And then our model is, and the product we're working on is to take that to the next level
Hmm.
and give them that confidence for the brand to say, yeah, that individual is a sure thing for your brand. So you go back and you look at what happened with Snoop Dogg. We all love Snoop Dogg, but he did the collaboration with Solo Stoves. I don't know if you saw that. And in a short amount of time, they put it together. They did not see the sales lift. And I think a couple weeks thereafter, the campaign had all been said and done, the CEO was released. And so again, you kind of go back to we were open. We wish we would have had a conversation with Solo and the agency to make sure they were headed in the right direction with the right partnership. So
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see that these tools hit the market, and certainly the attribution modeling is absolutely critical. But I mean, Tim, you've had an amazing career in advertising, and you mentioned really up front that you had you had always been the person looking at the new thing, the new shiny object in the room, and how that can be incorporated and integrated into a solution. Tell me what kind of drives your passion for what's new and for all the areas that you focus on.
I'm that person when they say just live in the moment. I have a terrible time doing that. I like being in the present is just not my thing, not my bailiwick. Um, I just like to know, I'm excited to see what's next. You know, especially in communications, I feel like we're living in probably one of the best times ever for marketing communications. Um, I say that, but managed well, understood well, when you look at things like generative AI and you look at predictive AI, there are guide rails to that. And I think that done right, done with a strategy, done with intention, done with the right prompt engineering, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you can have just beyond belief different concepts, different ideas, different strategic directions for brand campaigns. So I think you asked about what excites me most. I think where we're going with AI
Hmm.
and AI for good. I'm a big believer in that and solving some of the unsolved problems, both for brands and society. So,
It's always interesting. I suffer from a similar syndrome, Tim. Um, and I always felt that early on in my advertising career, I was always a big first guy, first person to do this, first person to do that. And it was good. It was good. It was very exciting. Probably picked up some awards along the way because of it. But the reality is that sometimes, getting it, you have to get it right at the right moment to really catch it for scale, right? And to really kind of bake it in. And I think what I get excited about when I look at the work that you guys are doing at Hahn is it is innovative, but you're also kind of taking that holistic approach that will really help a company and an enterprise scale it, right? To really kind of get it to the next level. That's really unique, because I mean, we all have the shiny object seekers, as we know, right? But
absolutely.
if it doesn't change the business, it's a nice to have, not a need to have, right?
Yes, and to your point, we created, this was again all this free thinking time during the pandemic. We created what we just call the 3D model. It's our proprietary model of data, design, delivery. So we always start with data, the analysis, qualitative, quantitative, and using all the forms of research that have always been done in agencies. But now we've got this next level of intelligence that we can use with our data team. And also have the ability and the confidence to ask for client access to their first party data. One of the things that gets us there and gets us that permission, I think that's important, is that we are on the path to SOC2 compliance. So in the world of cybersecurity, digital protections, we are at that SOC1 readiness stage, so that
Hmm.
all that meaning you have great responsibility with handling clients' data, and we take that very seriously. And we know for us to go where we want to go, we have to also have these very tight cyber controls in place to do what we want to do and to successfully run the 3D model.
So, I mean, it's been an interesting year, 2024. Here we are in a year where folks seem to be wanting to get going again in a way, right? They're kind of tired of limping along in the pandemic, and from a business perspective, they want to push forward. But sometimes I've felt like there's a little bit of hesitancy. Folks are still being a little cautious, trying to figure it out. Tell me what you're seeing out in the marketplace right now.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, we've seen the same thing. And I think for us, we had a long call last night thinking about how do we really build a new trajectory for one of our clients in energy. What with our job as part of their data team or their predictive team, what should we be doing that presents them with a picture of the future? So, what are the tools, the data, the insights that we need to really give them confidence to get unstuck in some areas and do it in such a way that we take the data, whatever form data it is, communications data, energy data, CO2 emissions data, et cetera, whatever it is, but train that data. So if we have 20 years of data, in this particular case from the Department of Energy, train the data, look at the historical aspects of it, but write the predictive model for looking forward so that they know where to sort of set their sights and set the course for going forward, to get maybe some folks unstuck in this particular instance. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I also think we're going to see lots of interesting things that will influence the data throughout this year. We've got an Olympics that are going to happen. We're going to have a little bit of an election, I think, at some point this year.
I think so.
So all of that will have an impact on the information and the data. Well, Tim, thank you so much for being on the Uncaged show today. If someone wanted to learn more about what you and Hahn are working on, where's the best place to find you?
Absolutely. You can check us out at Hahn, HAHN.agency. And if you want to go directly into our labs, it's hahn.agency/labs. So, and you can certainly
Excellent.
find me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from anybody out there that wants to talk about data, lift measurement, and all the fun stuff we're doing here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tim, it's been amazing talking with you, and I feel probably like we're somehow 1 degree removed in the advertising and marketing world. It's always great to experiment with new ideas, but as I said, the thing that excites me the most about these tools that you're building is, one, getting attribution modeling right is so critical to do it in a way where you can get it at scale and start to build companies and build really, really big things. And that celebrity spend is so expensive for companies that if you don't know what you're going to get out of it, what a frustration that is. And so it's exciting to see Hahn making real progress there. We've been speaking with Tim Weinheimer. He is the Chief Innovations Officer and Managing Partner of Hahn. We've been talking to him about data intelligence and predictive marketing and some of the tools that they've been building and how that really links back into the full service offering of Hahn in brand marketing, digital, social media, and then obviously the data analytics work that we're referring to. Tim, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you. My pleasure. We'll see you next time.